I am absolutely sick to death of my BMW looking like this. So the BMW is at that stage at the moment, the same as I was at with the 350, stuck in limbo mode with a wide body kit fitted, but the standard wheels and no paintwork. And today I'm gonna get the ball rolling on it and get those wheels sorted out. But before we do that, I want to do something with the brakes too. Even though I like the look of the brakes on this car, they've got to be a little bit different. I've got to do something to spice it up compared to what you can get on the standard car. So the first job for this video is getting the car in the air because we're going to be painting those massive calipers. As I said before, we've got 6 pots on the front and 2 pots on the back. And I think the colour of these actually lets them down a little bit. They could be a little bit more in your face. So with the wheels now removed, we can start preparing the brakes for paint. So we're going to be painting the calipers and also the centres of the hub too. And I'm sure this is going to wind some of you up in the way that I do it, but as I say later, I'll explain. So just using a Scotch pad, because these are already painted, they're nice and easy to prep. You can just give them a good thorough rub over and then a spray down with a degreaser and they're pretty much ready for paint. The discs themselves are actually pretty new when I got the car, you know, only 1,000 miles or so ago. So somehow they've managed to go this rusty this quick. So painting these centres is going to keep them looking smart and looking as new as they are. So with the etch primer thoroughly shaken like a Polaroid picture, we could spray that directly onto the hubs. Because this is a bare metal, you want to use an etch primer to help the colour stick. Okay, I know there's going to be some of you dying to get in that comment section and say something about how I've painted those brakes, but hold fire, I'll come back to it later in the video and explain exactly why I've done it like that, so chill your beans, we'll come back to it. So after that was done, it was just a case of hitting the hubs with some satin black just to give a nice clean finish and get rid of that rusty look. And next up is masking. I think masking and prep are probably the most important parts of paint because they impact everything. So being as thorough as you can, masking off the disc, masking off the suspension components, all of the brake pads, everything like that, if you're not going to disassemble the calipers, is probably worth doing. And I'd just like to point out at this point, by the way, that I am not a painter. I really don't know what I'm doing. I've just kind of winged it so far with paint and trial and things like that. And I think I've got a process which sort of works, but I'm definitely not doing this to a professional standard. Now all of the calipers are in primer and they're just about ready for base coat, so that means some colour. But before I do that, I just want to thoroughly mask off the rest of the car, even though with this car in particular it doesn't really matter because there's still lots of bodywork to do. It just saves on cleanup. Okay, so the car is now completely masked off and the calipers, and they're in primer, so we're now ready to get a bit of colour on there. And this is one that I've been struggling to decide on a little bit really, because I want to keep you guys happy, but I want to do something that I want to do more so, unfortunately. So my theme with this car I think is going to be like an OEM++. So I want to try and stick to BMW colours and themes and things like that, but go into the extreme end of the spectrum which they supply. So hopefully you guys approve of this. That's right, I have gone with a gold, and I know what you're thinking. It might be a bit of a strange choice, to be honest with you. It's not normally the sort of thing I'd go for. I kind of want these calipers to stand out as best as they can, because I think they're one of the best features on the car, so
I wanted to do them in something bright. BMW only really do a few caliper colours, blue, reds, I think they do whites on the AC Schnitzer models, and then gold on the BMW ceramic brakes, and that's what I wanted to try and replicate the look of. And I know this car hasn't got ceramic brakes, but let's face it, the whole car is pretending to be something that it's not, so I may as well go the full hog and have ceramic looking brakes, I guess. So this isn't actually the correct colour for the ceramic brakes, but it's unfortunately not common knowledge. As far as I'm aware, the paint code for that colour, so that's as close as I could get. Fingers crossed it's close enough to still look good, but there's only one way to find out, so let's get it on.
With the paint now mixed and my lungs masked off, we could start laying some colour on the calipers using light, thin coats. I was actually a little bit nervous when I seen this colour in the pot because it looked quite a lot darker than what I thought it was going to be, but as soon as we got it mixed up and got it ran through the spray gun onto the brakes, I was actually pretty happy with that colour.
Okay, so here is where we're up to. We've got the base coat on and I'm actually pretty chuffed with the colour. It's looking fairly similar to the actual ceramic gold calipers that you get on the BMWs, but it is missing something. Now we've painted over that BMW logo, it's looking very plain, so we need to do something about that. So I'm just going to have a nice simple little black M logo on each one, nice and small. You know, I think having the logos too big on calipers also makes them look rubbish. So yeah, keeping it small, keeping it sweet, and then we can get the clear coat on.
So believe it or not, this is probably what I find to be one of the most challenging parts of painting brakes, is laying on these logos and getting them in the right place, because it just feels impossible. Almost like every caliper sits slightly wonky, but only just, and getting those stickers level and in the right place, honestly, it wrecks my brain. So now they were applied, we could start looking at applying some clear. So we used 2 parts clear, 1 part hardener, and then the addition of an additive called Rocket, which helps the paint go off quicker, which is perfect for brakes, because even if it does impact the finish ever so slightly, you know, you're not going to tell in an area like this, and it really makes things a lot easier when it comes to getting the car out the door and on the road again nice and quickly.
Okay, so it's now the next day. I've let these dry and completely cure overnight. Now we've got the clear coat on, so now the job to do is get all the masking off and check out how good or bad a job I've done. Let's see.
So now the most rewarding part of the job, removing the masking and checking out the finish on the job that you've done, but we'll come back to that in a minute. I did actually forget to come back to the brake discs. What I did to clean these up in the end before driving the car was running some steel wool over the area where the brake pad touches, just to remove the majority of the paint, and then driving the car will actually, you know, remove the last bit. Some brake discs do actually even come painted when you buy them, so honestly I wouldn't worry too much about this.
So here we have it, my gold calipers, and the colour is close enough to the M4 ceramic brake gold, which I'm pretty happy with. The only difference is they are satin and these are gloss, because gloss is easy to maintain, so that's why we're having this. And obviously we still need to clean up the brake discs, but that's a very, very easy job. And yeah, I'm pretty happy with the job I've done. The masking is clean enough, I've not got paint over everything, and yeah, I'm pretty chuffed. So now is the point where you would normally refit the wheels. And I'm hoping that I don't have to put these back on, because I do have a new set for the E82 135i. But I have took a bit of a gamble and bought something second hand. I'm praying, to be honest with you, that they're gonna fit on the E82, and that's because they're not actually meant for this car. Because this has wider arches, it needs wider wheels with a lower offset in order to fill them out. So the car that they came off was a BMW M4, which comes with a much wider stance, so it is in the right region, but there's only one way to find out if they're going to fit. So let's go drag them out, see what you think of them, and try them on the car. So here we have my new wheels for the E82 135, hopefully, if they fit. So on the rear, I believe we have a 10.5J, and on the front, I believe a 9.5. Off the top of my head, it is stamped on the back of the wheel, but I'll double check it. And I think I got a bit of a bargain on these wheels, because for the alloys and the tyres, which are Michelin Super Sports with very good tread, and obviously these are 19s and quite wide. I paid only £1,000. There is a few slight storage marks on them, but all in all, they are pretty good nick, so I'm happy putting these on the car, and then maybe at a later date, after I've done abusing the car, I can get these refurbed, you know, ready for the next owner. But they are in fitting with my OEM plus style. They are kind of CSL style wheels, which is what would have come on the 1M anyway, but they are just an aftermarket twist on that. So I think these are going to look pretty smart on the 1 Series. So I'm hoping that those wheels are going to fit. As I said, they did come off a BMW M4 that had been modified, so fingers crossed they're going to fit my wide arched 1 Series.
So as I bolt up the new wider wheels, let's take a flip and change location into an epic montage of my BMW E82 1M replica.
Okay, so the wheels and the brakes on the Beamer, in my opinion, are looking 10 times better. I think the specs on the wheels are probably how they would come on the car standard, so they are still sitting in a little bit, and I've had to do some arch work to get these wheels to fit still, and I'd still like to bring them out just a little bit more, just to get that fitment, you know, on point. But I think as soon as the wheels go on, you can really start to see the end of the project and start to get an idea for how the finished product's gonna look. And I think it's gonna look sick. What do you think, Liam? Nice. But yeah, I think it gives a really nice balance between kind of modified and aftermarket and original OEM. But I'm sure some of you are going to have a different opinion and some of you ain't going to like it, and I'm sure you're going to let me know in the comments section what you think. But at the end of the day, that's the thing with modifying a car. Everyone has their own opinion and their own taste, so each to their own. But anyway, now the wheel's on and the car's looking much fatter, I think it's just about ready for paint. So that is probably what we're going to be tackling in the next video on the BMW. But that is it for this video. Make sure you subscribe, hit a like down below, and I'll catch you next time.